Hey, Jimmy Beach here with Alien Skin Software. In this video, we'll cover the topic of a non-destructive workflow. Our plugins have two non-destructive workflow options in Photoshop. The first I'll show you uses the New Layer checkbox. I'm going to run Bokeh 2, so I'll go up to Filter, down to Bokeh 2, and Bokeh. I'll open up Motion and choose Spiral at 25%. Now take a look at the Bokeh tab. Here we have the New Layer checkbox and it's on. It is on in all of our factory presets. By leaving it on, Bokeh will duplicate the original layer before applying the effect, so there's no risk of damaging or overwriting your original image. Let me quickly finish my Bokeh effect. I'll lower the Bokeh amount and adjust the focus region. Then I'll press OK and apply. Let's have a look at the Layers panel. Here's where the non-destructive magic happened. We have a new layer with our applied effect, but we're still retaining the original image as well. This is the most basic option for a non-destructive workflow, and really it's as far as most need to go. Unfortunately, the new layer feature does not work with Photoshop Actions or Smart Objects. When using those, turn off the new layer checkbox first. If you're recording a bunch of actions or working strictly with smart filters, it can be a hassle to constantly be turning off the new layer checkbox. In that case, you can globally disable the new layered feature by opening up the Preferences panel inside of the plugin. So let me open up Bokeh 2 again. I'll press Command K or Control K, or I can go under the question mark and I'll go to Preferences. On the bottom of the Preferences panel, under Miscellaneous, check the Disable New Layer Output box. I'm not going to make the change here, but I wanted to point out that it's available. Okay, so let me get out of that. Now let's change gears and talk about a smart workflow. First, I should point out that you can't use selections in Smart Objects with Bokeh. If you need to use a selection, then use the New Layer technique that I just showed you, instead of Smart Objects. Before we start talking about Smart Objects, I'm going to turn off our Bokeh layer. There are a couple of ways to open Smart Objects in Photoshop. If you already have an image open in Photoshop, like I do, go to the Layers panel, right-click on the layer selected, and choose Convert to Smart Object. When it's converted, the layer thumbnail looks a little bit different. It'll have a white little paper icon with a cutout in the lower corner. If I don't have an image open, I can go to Open as Smart Object right up under File. So I'm going to open up Bokeh. I'll go up to Filter, down to Bokeh 2 and Bokeh. I want to go to the Settings tab. To save on time, I'm going to load a custom setting that I've saved out previously. I want to make sure that our New Layer checkbox is off since we're using the filter on a smart object. It's over on the Bokeh tab. I'll just press Enter or Return and apply the effect. In addition to the Bokeh effect, I also want to add a film look with Exposure 3. Filter, Exposure, Color Film. I have another custom setting saved here. Again, I want to double check that I've shut off the New Layer checkbox. It's not compatible with Smart Objects. The checkbox is on the Color tab. Once we've done that, I'll press OK and apply. Now in the Layers panel, you can see the effects stacking together on top of the image. Let's apply one more effect. I'll use Snap Art 2. I'll go to Filter, Snap Art 2, Oil Paint. I have another custom setting made for this image, so I'll left-click to choose it from the Custom Settings area. I need to make sure that the New Layer checkbox is off one last time. This time on the Basic tab. OK. Now enter or return to apply that. And now we're done. Let's recap and talk about the filter stacking order. I'll use the Layers panel to illustrate. I'm going to shut off all of the smart filters here by clicking on the eye icons. And you should see the original image. We added a blur effect as a smart filter with Bokeh 2. Next, our exposure filter was applied to the result of the Bokeh filter, and we added a color film setting with Exposure 3. And we topped it all off by applying a painterly effect to our exposure result. We used oil paint with Snap Art 2. This is important to remember because if you want to change the bottom filter, it can drastically change the results of the combined effects. Let me show you. I'll double-click in the Layers panel on the Bokeh filter. It will reopen Bokeh 2. I'll make a change to just add a little vignette. Go over to the Vignette tab, drag the slider down just a little bit and darken, and then I'll reapply. Now when I reapply, it may have to think a little bit because it has to reapply all of the filters again after the change was made. Now I'm sure you're asking why we would want to use the Smart Object or filters when we can do the same thing with the traditional layers. And the main benefit is just what we've shown you here. You can edit a filter's parameters after it's been applied. I hope you learned something about smart objects, filters, and a non-destructive workflow in Photoshop. I'd like to direct you to our website, www.alienskin.com. There are lots of great examples, videos, and helpful advice on all of Alien Skin products. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Until next time, this is Jimmy Beach with Alien Skin Software.